All right. Welcome to the Catalyst Way, where we have conversations around unleashing the power of purpose and meaning to fuel transformative change in yourself and for others. And welcome to our first episode for 2026. And this episode, we're going to address a question that I got from one of my journaling workbooks. So, the question we're going to address today is, what is the one saying, song lyric, quote, scripture, or affirmation that you feel very yes about, and how does it inspire you? So that's our question for today. So I'm going to open it up to you. Is there something, what is it that inspires you that kind of every day you wake up, that's the first thing you think of?
Uh, well, if I'm going to go off the top of my head, it's a scripture, and the one that comes to mind for me, my favorite one, is Jeremiah 29:11, which is God saying, "I know the plans I have for you, plans for a hope and a future, plans to prosper and not harm you." And I sort of hang my hat, if you will, my life on that one because there's a comfort in knowing that I have an ultimate guide and protector who has already ensured that whatever may take place and whatever it is that I may be going through, it is always with the intent in mind that it's going to get me to a better place. It's going to solve an ultimate purpose. It's going to get me to a higher goal, even though I may not necessarily understand all the ins and outs at the moment. There is a comfort and a reassurance in knowing that it all works together for good and that good is helping me achieve the purpose that I'm here to fulfill. So that's sort of my thing. That one verse would be.
Does it come to your head first thing in the morning, in the middle of the day, when you go to bed? Like, is there a certain time where you typically reflect on it at during the day, or is it
it's
just
it's
random?
almost it's almost randomly because it will be centered around something good happening, and then it's okay, so those plans were already in place, and then something that I didn't expect to happen, and it can be absolutely disruptive, just messes everything up, and it's still me coming back to that and saying, okay, well, I guess this is part of the plan. I don't understand how it factors in, but I do know that based on what the verse tells me, I'm going to hold on to the fact that this won't last forever, and I'm coming out on the other side, and it's in play for a reason.
Cool. So for me, mine is when we do the 7 word life motto. Mine is my 7 word life motto, which is striving to be 1% better every day. Um, and not only, so I've actually formed a question that guides my in the morning. So my question in the morning is, what am I going to do today to make me better, make someone else better, or make the world a little better? And then I reflect on that same question. Did I do something today to make me better, make someone else better, and or make the world a little better? So that's what guides me every day. And it makes me think of the word discipline because I know that's one of your favorite words. And 1% better every day, it could be, if you look at it in terms of time, it's like 15 minutes or something. So it could be reading a chapter, it could be going for a walk, it could be, doing a, meditation. But it's doing something. And that to me is the big deal so that I'm just staying focused on, am I being better? Am I being better? Am I doing better? Be better, do better. So, what are your thoughts? Because I know you're also big on discipline.
But because I don't know that any successful thing, whether it be big or small, can be achieved without some type of discipline, right? And it's been said that the hardest discipline of all is self-discipline for that reason, right? And I think about, just listening to what you were saying, I think about James Clear with Atomic Habits, right? And it just being, that discipline could be something so small, right? When we think about working out, well, I don't need you to start off with 25 push-ups. How about you just do two,
Right.
right? And if you can do that consistently, right? Because let's just install the habit. And I think that's what most people struggle with and stray away from. It's not so much knowing that it is what they should do, but being willing to just start off small and just incrementally grow. And over time, what you install as a discipline just now becomes second nature, right? It's kind of like with you. It's waking up in the morning and just knowing that your workout is part of your morning routine. But having done it for so long, it's one of your set in stone non-negotiables now. But
Right.
it's a discipline that install that. And for so many people, it's what we don't do, what we don't adhere to. We tend more to do something because someone else told us to do it. So now we get it done versus, what am I willing to self impose that would make me better? Like you just said, right? Does it make me better? And after that, now can I make someone else better? But it still comes back to, what disciplines do I have? What's part of your morning routine? Like, I have to have my time with God. Like, it's in my morning routine.
Right.
I have to be able to work out. It's in my routine. It's not going anywhere. There's just a standard set of practices. And I think every successful person has that. You know, you can listen to all of them, and at some point, you hear a morning ritual that will unfold, you know, whether it be yoga or meditation, or they're going to grab that cup of coffee and go for a walk and then journal. They all have this set of disciplines that guide what they do and then unfold and impact the rest of their day. So I think discipline is absolutely crucial.
And what happens is, what happens, or how do you feel when you miss a day or you don't do it?
You know, it's funny because when you don't do it, right, you can see how it's sort of, the day's just different, right? And you can't help but notice it. And sometimes things are just out of your control. You know, you have that morning when you wake up late and you don't get to do the things that you want to do, or you wake up and you're sick and it's just, this morning's not going to happen like it usually would. But you can still feel the rest of the day. And it's interesting because then you can't wait to get back to the next day, because it's like, I just want to get back to my routine.
Right. Right. And it's funny because yesterday morning I woke up and the Dojovic Sinner match was on when I got up in the morning. And I'm like, well, I'm just gonna watch the rest of the match. And I watched the rest of the match, and then it's like 10:30, and then I have to go. I have to
Right.
go to my appointment for my therapist, and then all these other things, and I didn't get my workout in. But it was always in the back of my mind that I didn't get that workout in. So this morning, the first thing I did, even though the tennis was on, the first thing I did was, I'm gonna get my workout
Correct.
in. You got off the horse, get back on the horse.
And I think it's uh, the big point for me would be, how do you get to a place where you don't live your life randomly? And discipline helps with that, right? Just don't live randomly, right? It just can't be, the only thing that's set in stone is, yes, I know I have to show up at work at this time and I get off at this time. But outside of what the job requires of you, the rest of life just happens to be random, and it's haphazard. Things just happen as they do. And we all want that sense of control, because we all want to feel like we are in control. And I don't know that you can get there outside of being disciplined.
And it doesn't have to, like you said, it doesn't have to be anything big.
No,
It could be something small, like one or two push-ups. Or I mean, for a lot of people, that's really big. But it could be, I'm going to go outside and I'm just going to walk across the street and walk back.
Correct.
It could be just small things. I'm going to write one thing I'm grateful for and put it in a jar or something, and so people think it's got to be this really big thing. Start small. And then you might end up developing additional practices. So, so yeah. So, is there anyone is there a person that you know that inspires you that has practices that just kind of do you have anyone like that in your life that that's the person I want to model because they have practices that I like to follow or is there anyone like that in your life?
I think if I look at from the standpoint I like to view it from, a couple of them would be like one is passed on now, and it's Miles Monroe, because I just loved how he modeled his life in terms of a man and both a minister. Right? There's guys like Kobe Bryant, because I just like what he did from an athlete standpoint and how he worked out all of those disciplines, not just because he was already working at the highest level, but now it's, I'm here. What do I do to get it even better? How do I fine tune that? And all of the things that went into that were disciplines, right? And of course, there are a host of like authors that the list is probably too long for me to even go into, but those men just really, I like how they, reading through and reading about their lives, they inspire me and drive me just in terms of how they really encapsulated it from the inside out.
So I'm gonna embarrass you for a minute
All right.
because the person I look up to is you. Because you're very like when I think about how you live your life, that's like my model. Um, and so, I when you talk about like a mentor, I don't know if I would call you a mentor, but you're definitely a guide. It's someone I kind of try to model my life toward for. And it's like, look at how he lives his life. You live your life the same way. So even though I'm not as religious, but I say I'm very spiritual in how I practice my life. And I watch you and I model you. So sorry to put you on the spot, but I had to share that. Because I haven't, it's hard to find people that you really, when you think about like, one of the activities we always do as a dream team. And I always find it hard to find people, one, because I have such high expectations, but two, there are very few people who model a life that I want to live. I mean, I help a lot of people, but there are only a few people in my life that I'm like, yes, that's a person that I just want to keep in my life the whole time. So I just wanted to share that because I think having people that inspire you and move you, like our friend Joanne,
Yes.
she inspires me all the time because it's like she's doing this and she's doing this and she's taking the work to another level. And I'm like, she's keeping me on my game. And so it's not just the sayings, the quotes, the scriptures, but it's also the people
Right.
that really keep us going. So thank you.
I'm very, very honored, and thank you, sir. I appreciate that. Yeah.
So,
Yes.
I mean, we've met almost every Tuesday for 3 or 4 years now. And we started this last summer. We started this podcast. So, there's something here that you just don't want to not have in your life.
Right.
So, um, so any last thoughts you want to share before we end this session?
Um, I want our viewers to know, above all, discipline is not a bad word. It gets a bad rap. It's not a bad word. And start right where you are. You know, to your point, if you walk to the end of your street and back, then you walked today. It's not about the distance, it's about the activity. Did you walk? Yes. And if you do that 3 times a week, then you walked 3 times a week.
Right.
It doesn't need to be a mile, just walk. And at the end of that week, you could say, you walked three
Right.
times this week. So take any one area of your life that you can going forward and just make an attempt to be disciplined in that one area and just watch it over time and let's see how it starts to influence and impact the other areas.
And and maybe even find someone to hold you accountable to doing it if you need to,
Yes.
or do it with someone else. That's always helpful too. Um, so, well, thank you. This has been a good sh show. So, thank you again,
Thank you,
and
sir.
we'll see you at the next episode. All
Bye for
right.
now.